Since the Sandbox fans, what is going on? We're back continuing the schedule predictions. Yesterday we were over at the work bar. Today we're continuing the schedule predictions with the AFC East, banging out the NFC next. Twan's going to the Red Sox game right after this, so he's got the proper attire. Sick jersey. Baby. Sick jersey. Twan, I didn't know if you were about to give the people a little twerk show there.
Dude, they don't want me shooting the
moon. But no, really excited for that. Before we get into the episode, just want to remind you guys, August 17th, we're real excited. Our 5-year event. Gonna have Uncle Tony and Young Sinatra going live with the music performance. We're gonna do a live show for about 40-45 minutes. Brand new merch, food, drink, all that. Come and hang out with us. Come and have a good time. We're really excited putting that together. We're going to start the schedule predictions today with the Patriots. Twan's going to take the Patriots and the Jets since he's a double AFC East fan this year. I'm kidding. And I'm going to run through the Dolphins and the Bills. But Twan, I think it's appropriate we start with the Patriots and maybe getting out there 3 wins out of the way.
And I think it's just appropriate to rip the Band-Aid right off. Guys, I love this team, and I will always love this team, but we got to hamper our expectations as fans. We can't go out there and say, just because it's the Patriots, they're going 17-0. I've made 15 different jokes about that.
Those days are over.
We can't go out and say we're making the playoffs. We can't go out and say we're in the Super Bowl. We got to see it now that we're at this point, guys. It's going to be a tough start for New England. They got 3 road games in the first 4 games. Really tough competition. I got them losing 4 in a row, Steve, to start the season. It breaks my fucking heart to say that. Maybe me saying that makes them win, but I have them losing against Cincinnati and Cincy, so all those Bengals meat riders can relax on that one. I have them losing to Seattle at home, even though I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people think.
Really?
Yep. I think it's going to be a weirdly close game. I have them losing to the Jets at home, or in New York. I have them losing to San Fran at San Fran, and I also think the San Fran game can be a close game.
Wow. It's just so interesting to see how it's going to work out for like a team like San Francisco, who's in the West, which is the last scheduled predictions that we'll actually do. But just, tallying up all like these wins and losses throughout just gives you like a really unique perspective on how we think that these teams are going to have as far as records and playoff expectations and things like that. I actually only have the Patriots winning 1 game through the first 8 weeks, and that's actually week 3 Thursday Night Football versus the Jets.
In New York.
The last game the Patriots and Jets played, everybody thought like, oh my God, it's New England. Like they've been taking care of the Jets for the past 20 years. Mm-hmm. I actually still think like the Patriots can play the Jets pretty competitively, just being like a division opponent and things like that. Even though Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback and we're expecting, a healthy, ready to go Jets team, things like that. I actually think the Patriots can upset them, and I think like they could sneak a couple of division games here throughout, and you guys will hear that more towards the back end of my schedule for the New England Patriots. But yeah, I mean that has them with a 1-7 start through 8 weeks. That's a Thursday Night Football win. They lose the game in London to the Jags. After that Week 8 game versus the Jets, where they lose and the Jets get back right in the win column, I have them beating the Titans week 9 and then not winning a game again until week 16. They'll actually win week 16, 17, and 18 versus the Bills, the Chargers, and the Bills again. So going to sweep the Bills. Kevin, I'm sorry, I know you won't like that. I'm sure you guys will have some pizza bets, table bets, anything going on. Maybe some limbo fiasco going on between you two fruitcakes over there. But with that being the case, through the bye week and everything like that, Patriots have 5 wins in the season, 12 losses. So I am sorry. I think that this is the beginning of, the Drake May era. I think Jacoby Brissett will play a majority of the season, maybe up until, week 10 or so. And then when the Patriots understand, like, hey, like, we only won a single game to this point, let's help get this dude some reps. Like, let's prepare for next year. And the defense, I don't feel like is going to fail this team too often. I just feel like there's going to come a point in the season where it's like that stress is really pushing on that defense. And I don't know how long that team will be able to kind of like withstand that, honestly.
They're just kind of outmatched. Like a lot of these matchups, and you'll see like in the first 4 weeks, that's a tough stretch of games. You got 4 teams that I would argue might make the playoffs. Yes. There's one team that, you might be shocked that I think has a chance of missing versus the others, but Steve, before I get into the rest of my list, do you think, and the reason I ask this, I have a bet with Zach Duvall, Giants fan.
Shout out Zach, man. We repping, man. We repping.
Well, we have a bet, and you have to take my side. So, $100, does Drake May start week 1 or not?
No.
100% not.
No.
That's the easiest. Is that not the easiest $100 of my life?
It would make no sense to bring Jacoby Brissett in, understanding the history of the New England Patriots, and just rolling Drake May out there.
Exactly what I said. If we had, if it was just Joe Milton and Drake May, fine.
Yeah.
But the other question I want to ask is, what is the deal? Like, why is Joe Milton on the roster? Not that I don't like him. I feel like he can be dynamic, but you got Drake May. Does getting Joe Milton just kind of light his fire a little bit to play better? Or is it just like a handcuff?
I just think it was, when we talk about the draft, the things that we reciprocate the most are value. Right. And I just honestly think that where Rattler ended up falling after, the domino effect in the first round with the quarterbacks and everything with that, and Bo Nix and so on and so forth. I just think that was a great value for the New England Patriots, and probably was a player and a prospect that they had a lot higher on their board than when they actually selected him. And let's look at how that Kirk Cousins RG3 scenario worked out. I'm not saying that that's going to be the case for the Patriots by any means, but how does that can only help. And I believe that with that being the case, you're going to keep Milton, you're going to keep May, you just signed Brissett, so those are 3 locks for the roster. I just think that's Zappy, you're on your way out. You know what I mean? Yeah. If they could trade him for, a valuable backup quarterback, we kind of saw that, at the beginning of the offseason with Atlanta and the Cardinals and things like that. I just don't think it would make sense to put him out there and just be like, hey, this team is perfect around you. This is a great scenario for success. I think that there's questions and things that we need to learn about Gerard Mayo specifically before you can even roll out Drake May like that. So that's not to disagree with Zach as a loyal Giants fan, and we're going to do right next episode. Don't you worry. But I just think that the Patriots need to have lower expectations, and if they exceed those, then that's great. There's nothing to complain about. If the Patriots can win 7, 8 wins this season, Patriots fans will be doing flips off the Tobin.
In the street.
Yeah,
I'm naked running around the street.
I just think, like I was talking about with the defense, there's a lot of stress points there, and even though Mayo is a familiar face to the organization, and he's a name that has had a lot of hype around him for quite some time, I just think you can't just go and deem it off of word of mouth. You know what I mean? We need to see it, and the Patriots have some great players, and they just locked up Ramondre Stevenson. I'm sure you're really excited about him getting an extension,
dude. That's a good price too. I'm not. What was it? $9 million a year, pretty much. Yeah. But dude, I'm gonna take that for a guy that can run and catch. And you can kind of just let him be a bell cow. You can have other backs in there. And I know New England will like to do that because they now have the offensive coordinator from the Browns.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to work really well in this system that this guy's bringing over. So I am scared for the receiver room and the O-line. That's where I think the running back room's good.
I think the O-line is the most critical part to all that. But yeah, it's obviously the biggest question mark in that entire franchise, with the exception of the coaching and things like that. I feel a lot better about that wide receiver room than maybe what the public opinion is, and that's not that because they have a dog there or anything like that. I just think being able to have young talent and let them prove themselves, develop with that group internally, I feel that's really important, being able to grow together. So we saw flashes from Pop. Bourne was having a season last year until he got a little bit banged up, and I wish that they added kind of a bigger name through the draft than what they did in Polk, than Polk, honestly. Well,
that's what I'm saying is where you're 2 picks. You could have traded up and got Ladd McConkey. Plain and simple. You could have, and McConkey screams New England Pats wide receiver to me.
Yes. No, he does. And we brought up the D1 conversation yesterday. I don't think that makes sense for the Patriots because there's no need for a veteran wide receiver to go there knowing that they're not contending. But I think a T. Higgins scenario would make sense. But it's do the Patriots want to invest in a wide receiver that they don't know is going to be a one? I you heard my opinion on T. Higgins, and I just feel hey, let's see what Brissett's going to be able to do with this group. Let's see what May's big arm ability is actually going to be through training camp and practice and things like that. And then next offseason, let's find the perfect pieces to fit and complement them.
That's what we have to have a tough year. The thing is, it's how we are as New England fans. We want to be good now. We're impatient. I just implore every Patriots fan, you gotta wait this one out, dude.
Yeah.
Because if we try and rush it, if we try and skip the rebuild, we're gonna run into a 4-13 scenario where everyone's hating on the best coach of all time because we have to hate. Everyone's running Mac Jones out of town because, he's a pussy and he can't run a team. But regardless, like, he did show strides, and there's just all that back and forth.
A big thing with the Patriots before we go over to the Dolphins too is
I get to finish with that list, dude.
Yeah, I know. We didn't even get there. I feel like they had such a strong winning culture for a long period of time, but I also feel like their culture kind of disintegrated a little bit through the past couple of seasons. So just as much as getting like the right personnel and, making sure that the young talents that they drafted or like they brought in develop, I just feel like that's a huge part of it too, is resetting the culture.
100%. Steve, going back into it, I have them winning in week 5 against the Dolphins. So I have them winning the game against the Dolphins at home. I think that's going to be their first win. And I think you're going to start to see these signs that I actually think Brissett's solid. I think he was the best backup in the league last year. Played really well for Washington when he would come in and play. I think he's solid. He's going to get a win here, but then they have another tough game in Houston, or against Houston at home. I think they're going to drop that one. But I do think they're going to go to London, and I think they're going to beat the Jags.
Okay.
So I think they beat the Jags there. I think they lose to the Jets. That does make them 0-2 against the Jets. And I think that's going to be a big narrative, as you're going to see on social media. For the first time ever, the Jets can go 2-0 against the Pats, or first time in 20 years or whatever.
Yeah.
It's going to be such a big narrative that the game's going to get close, and it's going to be won off of like a field goal or some kind of bullshit.
Well, that's why I know like at New York isn't the game that you would think that the Patriots would win. I know that like the expectations that are set on the Jets and everything like that, but every single one of these division games, no matter the talent and the matchup, no matter what conference it is, no matter what it is, no matter what the circumstances are, division games are always going to be close.
Every time.
Yeah.
You're used to these teams. It's going to be your second time playing them.
Sure.
But I do think the Jets will end up edging that out based off of sheer talent. Now, no Aaron Rodgers, it's a different story. But we're not anticipating injuries through these. But then I have them winning 2 in a row here. I have them beating Tennessee on the road. I have them beating Chicago on the road till they lose 3 straight. Miami, Indy, Miami, Indy, and the Rams. Have them beating Arizona, losing to Buffalo and the Chargers. But I do have them winning in the last week against Buffalo to go 6-11. So not too far off of you. But I think as this year progresses, you're going to start to see growth in the wide receiver room. The quarterback's going to be more comfortable. You might have the Drake May shift, even though still think Brissett is very good. The defense is finally fully clicked, and they're back, and it's just, hey, we know we got to address receiver, but we also really need to address O-line, and then we have our 2 spots that next year we know we're going to need to address starting this year.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
6-11, I'm okay with it. The over-under is what, 3.5?
What, wins?
Yeah.
No,
I think
it's not.
I think it's like 3.5, maybe 4.5. Ooh. Dude, I might smack that over.
Wow. Hey, that's crazy. But they're like these betting networks are really expecting like the Patriots to be the worst team in the NFL.
No, but like you look at the Carolina Panthers, who were the worst team I've ever seen in my life, and they went 2-15.
Yeah. I mean,
2 more wins.
Oof. Yeah, I mean it's
with a we don't know well coach, but has someone that's a part of a good coaching tree.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see like how they compare to a team like that. I definitely expect the Panthers to be a little bit more prepared to take, better strides than the Patriots will. I'm expecting,
Wrong pipe, sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. But it'll be interesting to see the way like that shakes out. And 16 minutes into the episode, this is probably the most we'll talk about the Patriots all season.
I know. Oh, God.
Sorry, Twan.
It's all right. Let's make fun of Kev's Bills.
Yeah, no, we're gonna go over to the Dolphins.
Oh, we're gonna
first.
go Dolphins. Good.
Yeah, gonna go the Dolphins. Yeah, you can always make fun of the Dolphins.
No problem.
But the Dolphins here, I have them starting off the season hot with a win versus the Jaguars. I talked about this through the AFC South. I feel like the Colts and the Jags always start the season a little bit soft. But after that, getting a loss Thursday Night Football versus the Bills. Look, this is a statement game for both of these teams. Like, hey, like we need to prove like the hierarchy inside this division. Like, there's going to be, a lot of attention on the Buffalo Bills not having, the superstar wide receiver, questions about Josh Allen because of the turnovers and everything like that last year. But, the Dolphins, are they going to be able to, be the team that they were, to at least like the first 10 weeks of last season, especially adding, an OBJ, bringing back the running back room and, adding to the defense? That's something we're going to have to find out. But 1-1 through the first 2 games, and then going into the bye week, I have them going 2-1, a win versus Seattle, a loss versus the Titans, Titans Monday Night Football. The Titans always get the Dolphins. It's real weird, but it happens. And then a win versus the Patriots. And then the bye week is week 6. And after that, I have them getting 3 wins in a row. I feel like October was really when they started to heat up last year. Win versus the Colts, win versus the Cardinals, and a win at the Bills. So splitting that season series with the Bills. And this has them with 2 losses going into week 10. Feel like the Dolphins would be pretty comfortable with that.
They would be very comfortable with that. They're going to be a lot more comfortable with that than where I have them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think the Dolphins are going to stink this year.
Not worse than the Patriots.
Not worse than the Patriots, no. But I do think that they're going to be bad this year. And
worse than the Cardinals.
I think they're going to be right there with the Cardinals. Honestly, I think it's going to be 2 teams right neck and neck. The Dolphins may have a game on them, but I don't think it's going to look good. I think the Dolphins are just going to have the reoccurring. We've seen what those issues that the Dolphins have are. They can't play in the cold. They really struggle with adversity too. They get hot, they get too confident, and then they cool off. And it's just the same thing year in and year out. I don't know that they're all mentally there to play 17 games of football. I don't know that they're all driven to win a title. So I got them winning against Jacksonville, but I have them dropping it to Buffalo, winning against Seattle in a tough game, but I have them dropping 3 straight after that. I have them dropping to Tennessee, New England, Indy, getting a win against Arizona, and I think that's the game that's going to get them over, but then losing to Buffalo, the Rams, before they have to go play Vegas at home.
Okay.
So I have them with 3 wins, 3-5 just for the first 8.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're going to be bad, Steve.
That's drastically different. Do you think this team will be in I know like we did like the North already. How would you compare them to the Browns? You think the Browns are going to be a drastically better team than the Dolphins?
Drastically better. I think they're going to be much better.
Wow. All right. I also have that loss versus the Rams in week 10. That's Monday Night Football. I do think that that'll be like an exciting game though. So
I
like
think so too.
That's something to keep in mind. I'm sure that there'll be points galore. We should have a solid identity for both of those teams at this point in time in the season. But getting 2 wins in a row versus the Raiders, versus the Patriots, and then getting a tough loss at the Packers, Thursday Night Football. Look, we're talking about Week 13 in Green Bay right now. Not the recipe for the Dolphins to get a win there.
Same 3 for me. Win, loss. Yep.
And then that Packers loss starts a losing streak for them. So actually dropping 3 games in a row versus the Jets, at the Texans before they win 2 more. Week 16 and 17, getting a win versus the 49ers. I think that's a really important win. I mean, you'll be able to hear like my predictions once we get to the West about the 49ers coming back a little bit down to earth. I just think I have a little bit more faith in Mike McDaniels than you do, and I think like that's going to be a huge revenge game. I like the way he coached. I like his personality and the way he kind of carries himself. I think it's different. I think it's actually refreshing for football in like this century and in how like the people, like the young athletes in the NFL are like coming into the league and everything like that. I actually think we're going to start to see a lot more of, Mike McDaniel type of personalities throughout, coaching staffs in the future. Getting a win at the Browns. So we just kind of compare those teams. Week 17, Sunday Night Football in Cleveland. That'll still be a really tough game. Do think the Dolphins do just enough to, win that one. Maybe it's a last-second field goal. Maybe it's a Deshaun Watson fumble or pick at the end of the game.
Deshaun Watson blowing it somehow.
Yeah, right.
If he's even playing at this point in time.
That's a really cool play on words, Deshaun Watson blowing it there. But losing the last game of the season, which could be drastically important for AFC implications, playoff implications, seeding, all of that, versus the Jets. But with that being the case, this is a 10-7 record and 3-3 inside the division for the Dolphins. But let's keep in mind, you win that game versus the Jets, or you win one of those games, another game versus the Bills, you're talking about 11-12 win football team. I don't think that they're a 12-win football team or good enough to be that. But I think 10-7, it is what this team should be, especially coming off of last year. Not as good as last year. I don't think that they'll have a 72-point performance or anything like that like they did versus the Broncos, but I think this team is building in the right direction, and I was so upset about the Christian Wilkins, going to Oakland, going to Vegas and things like that. But I actually think that, Phillips and Chubb are going to do a lot of good things in the defensive side of the ball there, and they added some pieces too. So hopefully, that kind of supplements for what they lost.
Yeah, I can understand it. I have them, again, like we said, we went win-win loss after Vegas Packers. I have them picking up that win against the Jets, but I do have them losing to Houston. I also have them beating San Fran. So when you mentioned about Mike McDaniel, I think he's going to be locked in for this game. And I don't think Mike McDaniel isn't locked in. I more challenge the players. Like, are they fully locked in? Are they fully committed? And until I see it, dude, I keep seeing them fall apart, and I have them losing the last 2 games of the season here to the Browns and the Jets. It's Miami against tough teams in the cold, on the road. They lose those games, and that, to me, brings them to 7-10, Steve.
All right.
7-10.
It's not a horrible record for them, though. Like, I think, like, if they sat somewhere in between, like, that 7-10 and 10-7, like, I don't want to say that it's a good season, because obviously the expectations, while the AFC East looks the way it does, should be, to push for the playoffs. But I don't think that this is going to be a division that's going to have 3 playoff teams. So if the Jets and the Bills are going to have really good seasons, would be really, really tough for the Dolphins to do that, knowing how competitive, the AFC is and everything like that. What I know, like, this isn't a point that you'll probably back, but something that I just want to bring up is I do feel like from week 12 on, like, this was a team that might have dealt with the most injuries in the entire NFL.
But who's to say they don't again?
No,
again,
of course.
These are teams that are playing in the warm, and then they're going into the cold, and then their body just isn't used to it, and they get hit a little bit harder than they're used to. And then they're kind of a fragile bunch. Like, Tyreek Hill's not a big guy.
He's not,
Jalen
but like
Waddle's always been hurt. Like,
prior for Tyreek specifically, like, prior to him going to Miami, he really wasn't somebody that dealt with like too many injuries.
No, he wasn't. And that's where I look at it in Miami, and I'm like, what is different about here?
Yeah, I actually just think like it was like a point in time where, like, you usually get you usually, I don't want to say get hurt in the NFL, but there is like that wear and tear, especially for a dude that's running like 23 miles an hour every single time he runs a route. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, like, absolutely. And I know that, like, that's not a guy that you're big about, but I do expect him to have a fully healthy season. If Waddle misses games, that's why they paid Odell Beckham to like kind of go there, so like they could still have a supplement wide receiver too. And if they still plan on running Mostert, and you got Wilson, and you want to put Achane on the outside, you got the depth. I think they're completely going to forego the tight end position, even though I do feel like Jonnu Smith is a huge improvement from Smythe at that tight end run. Yeah, absolutely. But 10-7 would be interesting to see the way it shakes out. But this 10-7 record is not better than what I have for the Bills or the Jets. So interested to hear what you think the Jets are going to do this season.
Well, let's get right into it, Steve. They're starting off, and all the talk about the New York Jets. Are they really this good of a team? Is Saleh even that good? Oh my God, Aaron Rodgers not at OTAs. Oh, this doesn't fucking matter because they're starting 6-0.
Wow, 6-0. Holy shit, Twan.
They're going on the road.
6-0.
I'm telling you, they're going on the road. They're beating Sanford. I told you, Robbie, I would take care of you, buddy. They're going on the road. They're getting 2 wins right away against San Fran, Super Bowl hangover win, against Tennessee on the road. I just don't think Tennessee's going to be ready to play yet. They're going to beat New England at home. They're going to beat Denver at home. That's a pretty good 4-game stretch for them.
Yeah. Even if they were to drop week 1.
They go into Minnesota. I think this might be a tricky one, Steve, but I do think they're going to pull it out against Minnesota. Yeah, in London. I don't think Minnesota's going to have the defense for the caliber of football that the Jets are playing. I think Minnesota will score some points. I don't think Sauce is going to fully lock up JJ. I'll be real on that.
To week 5, how many touchdowns do you think Breece Hall has?
Passing and receiving, total touchdowns.
Scrimmage touchdowns, yeah.
7.
7 touchdowns through the first 5 weeks. Holy shit.
Dude, Breece Hall's him, man. I'm just telling you right now, Breece Hall's him. But then I do have the Jets also winning at home against the Bills, starting 6-0, Steve.
Wow.
I'll go to 8. I do have them dropping the game to Pittsburgh. I have them going to Pittsburgh, losing a tough game there.
Sunday Night Football.
But then winning against New England, and then through 8 weeks, they're 7-1, and the Jets are one of those teams that everyone's going, holy fuck.
This is what they were with Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly. Yeah. The classic, and the media this year's talking about, Aaron Rodgers isn't showing up. Oh, boy. Write him off.
Yeah.
Robert Saleh's not that good of a coach. Or are the Jets really that good? Because that's how the fucking media likes to go.
No, absolutely.
They are dead wrong. The same way that the same experts, again, I'm going to make fun of these ESPN experts, thought it was going to be Mavs in 5, 6, 7. They're always wrong. They are not intelligent people. Plain and simple. I'm coming at you, Stephen A. I'm coming at you, fucking Perk, you dumb fuck. Everyone else on there. Dude, these guys are so dumb, and they get paid to give you hot, controversial takes. Dude, we're looking at this. They're writing off the Jets already. That is crazy to me.
I just want to bring it up just because you mentioned Stephen A. I actually just saw a clip from Stephen A. 2016. He was talking about that Villanova team with all of those guys on it, saying that none of those guys are NBA draft ready or anything like that. And now he's head over heels saying that every other team inside the NBA except the Boston Celtics are not ready for the New York Knicks. And I'm like, look, this is the exact reason why the New York media market is the way it is, because we fabricate it like this.
Stephen A., you're a bona fide scrub. That's what it is. You're a fucking bona fide scrub, bro.
Oh, man. All right. I actually have the Jets starting off the season with a loss. Big Vin, I know you're excited to hear the Jets. We're gonna treat you right. Don't worry. Loss versus the 49ers Monday Night Football. I think that this is like a 3-point game, like a turnover at the end of it, like is really like the difference here. But like I said, I don't have crazy expectations for the 49ers team, and I have the Jets finishing with a better record than they do. Win versus the Titans. You heard the loss versus the Patriots in week 3. Just think that that's gonna be a really sloppy game. After that, though, I have them going on a huge winning streak. Win versus the Broncos, in London versus the Vikings, Monday Night Football versus the Bills, and Sunday Night Football, Steelers, win versus the Patriots week 8. Texans Thursday Night Football will be tough. And that next stretch from week 9 to 11, I have them going 1-2. The only win is going to be versus the Cardinals. I actually do have them losing to the Colts. I think the Colts will be a very competitive team by the time that they play. Yep. With the bye week at week 12, I kind of feel like that's a comfortable bye for them with a team that has expectations to continue playing, into December and early January at the very, very least. And I'm just going to finish it off, Twan. Over the last set of games, I have them going 4-2, dropping the game to Seattle right after the bye and dropping the game week 17 versus the Bills for a series split in the division there. But they're going to sweep the Dolphins weeks 14 and 18, and then in between that and 15 and 16, a gritty game against the Jaguars. And then week 16, I actually do have them beating the Rams. I think that's a really tough game, but I think that's a defining moment, and Aaron Rodgers is the difference, and this might actually be a game that you see like Garrett Wilson catch 210. Dead serious.
Let's, dude, love that, because who the fuck's covering him over there? Yeah. Let's be real. Steve, I'll finish it here. I have them getting a win over the Texans. I think it's tough, but I do have them getting the win there, especially because they're coming off, again, a win against New England. They're going to go in and get a win against Houston. They're going to take an L to Arizona in a game that everyone's going to go, dude, I can't believe they lost that game. Yeah. But I think Arizona's just going to look good that game. But then I have them rattling 2 off. Indy and Seattle, but then I have them losing 2 in a row. Miami, Jacksonville, both on the road. I think they just have lulls and they lose these games. And now this is, again, where the media is going to go, they're falling apart. No. They go beat the Rams. They lose to Buffalo in a competitive one. And then they go beat Miami to finish the season. And now they're saying it's playoff time. We're coming off a big win against a division opponent. Let's go get that. And they have the 2 seed at this point, because I have Texans at the 1 seed. They have the 2 seed with this record at 12-5, Steve. I think the Jets are the real deal this year. It may pain me to say it, but I'm going to call a spade a spade. I think the Jets are the real fucking deal.
2 Jets questions here. Vin, listen up. I want to see your answer in the comments. Is this the last year for Aaron Rodgers, regardless of how this season goes? Question 1. And question 2. If we're viewing Breece Hall as a first-round pick in fantasy football, is this a guy that's going to be selected, over your Bijans and guys like that? Or do you not think that Breece is a 1 yet? I feel like he kind of proved that.
I think
maybe
I would draft him as 1. I was hoping you wouldn't say that, because anyone watching is now going to draft him in my draft. The way it's going, I think he's a back-end 1, top tier 2. Like top pick at 2.
Drafted before Garrett Wilson.
Yes. I think well before Garrett Wilson.
Well before Garrett Wilson. Ooh, yeah. I don't know about that. I think Garrett Wilson could be selected before a Smith and Brown Eagles pair of wide receivers this year. I really do.
I'd be hesitant on it.
I mean, I just feel like the Eagles are like splitting that wide receiver room. You know what I mean? And you're adding Saquon. Like, I feel like besides Breece, Garrett Wilson's going to get the rock.
Right, but you got to understand, not everyone thinks the way that we do sometimes, and they go, A.J. Brown's on the fucking board. I know what A.J. Brown can do, and you take him. And it's like, I don't...
You didn't do that last year, kid, so...
Yeah, but that's why nobody thinks like. Nobody thinks like this guy. But I do think... I think Breece is my ideal draft, so I'm probably keeping Justin Jefferson and losing my first-round pick, because there's no way I'm getting first overall again. If I do, then I might not keep Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
But my thought is, I keep Justin Jefferson... and then hopefully I have a back end pick. We're in the second round. Other people are keeping their first rounders. I get to snipe Breece Hall in the second round.
Okay.
That's my hope.
Rodgers question. Do you think this is Rodgers' last season regardless of the outcome?
The only way I think it's his last season is if he gets hurt or if the Jets are miserably bad. And when I say miserably bad, like sub
6
500.
wins.
Sub 500.
Yeah.
I think if they're 9 wins over, he'd stick around to see what they can do. I think he would, because I think he wants to prove people wrong. I think he's just, again, like him, hate him, don't really care what you think. He's going to go out there and he's going to play good football. That's what Aaron Rodgers does. And I think he is competitive enough where he does want to go out there and win games.
Okay.
And I don't think he's bored being in New York. I think he was bored in Green Bay because he was doing the same thing for so long. This is something new to him. It's hard to get excited.
He wants all that. Yeah,
I think this has got him excited.
He probably wants to see his face up in Times Square after a big win, you know what I mean? Or maybe like a game that they were advertising around like Christmas or Thanksgiving, anything like that. But I have the Jets finishing with an 11-6 record, and I feel like the most important part of this is the 4-2 division record, because I have the Bills finishing with the same record, but finishing 2-4 with the division record. So that 4-2 to that 2-4, huge difference.
Big
in
implications.
playoff spots, in a wild card spot. Luckily, you know, with the Bills having the season that they do, I still think that they're the top wild card team. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills win the division and the Jets were the wild card team by any means. But let's hop into the Bills, who I actually have winning the first 5 weeks of the season. Kev, I'm taking care of you, but we still got to get rid of that Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs pillow. That's a little creepy.
Bro, you know he's sleeping with that thing every night.
He is. He definitely is. He's drooling on that. But week 1, I have them getting a win versus the Cardinals. That's a layup for the Bills. It really should be. It wouldn't surprise me if, like, for parts of that game that they struggled a little bit, but I do expect them to kind of win by 10. I still view this to kind of be like the Bills team that should steamroll like I don't want to say half the teams, but at least like a quarter of their schedule. Winning 3 straight primetime football games. Thursday night football at the Dolphins, Monday night football versus the Jaguars. In week 4, Sunday night football versus the Ravens. That's going to be a win. So 4 in a row for the Dolphins. Following that up, huge win, Twan, versus the Texans. Like, this is a competitive game, like a 27-30 game, like decided in the last couple minutes. The team that makes the most mistakes in that game is the one that comes up just a bit short, but this realistically could be a preview for the AFC Championship. Like, let's be real here. Obviously, you know, keeping in mind that the Chiefs are a team that's likely to get back there. But, you know, when your expectations with the Texans and me still thinking that the Bills are going to be hot, that's the goal for both of those teams at the very least. And I have them getting their first loss week 6 at the Jets on Monday Night Football. So 5-1 to start for the Bills. I think that's a pretty great start.
That is a great start. I got them starting 3-3, Steve.
Ooh.
I don't think too high. And again, I don't have the Bills having a losing record here. I don't see it. I still think they're a good team. Coaching has me questioning a lot about what's going to go on here. I think that's where you're going to see their biggest struggle is. I have them winning the first 3, though. Arizona, Miami, Jacksonville. But I actually have them dropping 3 road games in a row. Baltimore, Houston, New York. I think it's an incredibly tough stretch of games there. I think they're going to drop those. So I have them going 3-3 to start. But I do have them getting a win against Tennessee, losing against Seattle, and then 2 more wins in a row against Miami and Indy before they go take a loss to the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, we see that like just a tad differently. After that 5-1 start, I have them going 2-3 through their next stretch, with the wins coming versus the Titans and actually versus the Chiefs. So, you know, believe it or not, like I think like the Bills have been down this road so many times. They're like, look, for us to get over this, we need to find a way to beat this fucking team. Like, you have to. And I just feel like, you know, it's balls against the wall. Josh Allen literally needs to be perfect, and the Chiefs need to mess up a lot in this game for that to be the case. But dropping 3 straight in between, which is tough. 2 road games at the Seahawks and Colts, and then home versus the Dolphins. I just feel like that's tough. I think the Dolphins can, you know, win some games versus the Bills. That takes us to the bye week with, you know, 4 losses in week 12. I feel like that's not really, you know, a bad spot to be. But rounding out the rest of the season, a win Sunday Night Football versus the 49ers after the bye week. If this game wasn't after the bye week, I might feel a little bit different. But the fact that you get 2 weeks to prepare for a 49ers team that we both kind of think are going to be a little bit worse than what they were last year, I think that that's a perfect recipe to kind of prove it, especially after the Chiefs win prior to the bye. And then winning 2 more in a row at the Rams and at the Lions. Those are not easy games by any means, but we just see how competitive the AFC is. When you get to the top of the NFC, I just feel like, you know, the Bills might had, a little bit more better practice to, play those tough games at that point in time. A loss versus the Patriots week 16 and then splitting the last 2 weeks of the season. A win versus the Jets week 17 and a loss the last week of the season versus the Patriots. Look, I know the Bills could realistically really need that game the last week for seeding, maybe for the 1 seed, like for a playoff spot, whatever the case may be. I think the Patriots say, hey, look, like we didn't have the season we wanted, but we want to make sure that you don't have the season you want either.
Exactly. I think that's exactly what that game's
going to look like. I just got you fired up.
Let's go 17-0. I changed my mind.
Stop it. But with that, the Bills finished with an 11-6 record, 2-4 in that division, and the 5 seed in the AFC.
Okay, it's not bad. Steve, I got them getting a win against San Fran after losing to the Chiefs. I think they're going to beat the brakes off of San Fran there. I just think it's going to be one of those games. San Fran comes into there. They come off a loss to the Chiefs. They're angry. They're slinging. Keon Coleman gets 150 yards this game, Steve.
Do you think he's the one over like a guy like Shakir or like Kincaid?
Not yet, but he will be. I give it 2-3 weeks, and I think he will be. I think you're just going to see he's better.
Okay.
I think they're going to have him run Diggs routes, but I think they're going to target Shakir a little bit more. If they're smart, they'll run the football, but they have to show me that they're smart.
So you expecting a big James Cook year if the Bills are to win 10 games?
A good James Cook year. I don't know that he'll have the game that he had, the season that he had last year, because he rushed for like 1,400 or something like that?
No, I think it was, I want to say he had around 1,400 scrimmage. Like I could be like a little bit wrong on that, but I know that we were both a little unhappy with like the quantity of touchdowns that he had.
Yeah.
Obviously, Josh Allen rushing like takes some of those away, but I think that's where we would like to see a little bit of an improvement in the running game.
So I think he's getting over 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
I do for sure.
On the ground,
rushing yards. Yeah, on the ground, rushing yards, and then scrimmage. Again, we'll see.
Just under 15.
Yeah. I'd put him right to that 1,400 number again. That's a good season, man. That's a really good season. I do have them losing 2 games though on the road here. Rams, Detroit. I think they're going to struggle on the road this year.
Yeah, those are really tough games.
I think Buffalo's going to have a tough time on the road this year. But then I have them getting right. New England, Jets, England. And then losing to New England to end. So 9-8, they finish. Steve, one of these games they could damn well pull out. 10-7 is going to get them a playoff spot. 9-8 may get them to 7, but I do have them going, I think, 3-3 in the division here. No, beating Miami twice, so I actually have them going 4-2 in the division.
That's solid positioning.
Solid 9-8, 4-2 in the division. That can get you the 7 seed.
Yeah.
One more win here. They win that game against New England.
One more win solidifies a playoff
spot.
Yeah.
So
10 wins, I think, in either conference is a playoff team.
They should only be scared of the North.
Yeah.
North and Indy. That's it. That's all I would be afraid of.
Scam likely. Stop bothering me. But Swan, with that kind of breaks down the AFC East schedule predictions. I want to talk about, Tyreek Hill specifically, like when we're talking about, fantasy perspectives and things like that. Last year, there were conversations about him potentially getting to 2,000 in a banged up season. Do you feel like that's hard to replicate, like for him, or do you kind of feel like he's setting like the standard for him and like a guy like JJ to be north of that 1,800 number?
I think it's hard to replicate. I'm not going to say it's easy to, but he can do it.
Yeah.
I think he can do it. If
this
he
is the
stays
most respect you've given to him.
He can do it. Yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, like if
he's talented,
and if his kid makes him mad enough that day, like he might go off for 250. But he's just a terrible human, man. That's just all it is. He's a bad human being. But especially with the struggles that we've seen from Waddle, like he does okay when he plays. Not what I'd like to see, honestly. I think he's been a little underwhelming for me thus far, Jalen Waddle, and he's having a tough time staying healthy.
Do you think that Jalen Waddle will have a better season than Hollywood Brown? Tough question.
If Jalen Waddle was in his situation, yes, but I don't know. No, I don't think so.
Not as a 2.
Not as a 2.
No. I really, and look, I know you disagreed. I really think that Hollywood Brown's the best receiver on Kansas City, and I don't think that anybody should be talking about Xavier Worthy until we actually see.
I don't think it's Xavier Worthy. I think if Rashee Rice plays, I think he's the best one, and I honestly think he clears Hollywood by a good amount. I'm just not that high on Hollywood. Dude.
No, like I get that. Like my whole thing is like this was a big offseason for Rashee Rice, and I just don't think he's been able to spend it the way he's probably wanted to. He's gonna have to prove himself a lot, like not only as a football player, but like as like a person, is like everything that kind of like went on and stuff. And I just feel like as a guy that's only second year in the league, there's lofty expectations on him, and I just don't know. Like I'm not saying that he can't like catch 1,000 yards, because obviously, I mean, we've seen that he was like a really productive guy, and I was high on him, drafted him in the back end on a lot of fantasy leagues last year, but It's just tough for me to go in and deem that to him. Like, I really do. And I actually think that Travis Kelce's going to have a better regular season than he did. I know, like, you won't say that, but I feel like that's the way it's going to work. And I still feel like that offense is going to be heavily involved with, the ground game in Pacheco.
I think so too. Pacheco's he's one of the best players on that offense, not named Patrick Mahomes, I think.
For sure.
It's interesting, man. The East, it's tricky. We're going to get to the NFC. I'm warning everybody, this is going to get a little funky.
Woo! We're excited for it. But, guys, this was the AFC East schedule predictions. We hope you guys like the record. Feel free to let us know your records of the games that you disagreed with in the comments. I'm really excited to continue going through the rest of these schedule predictions as we approach fantasy football season. Let's go. Reminder to join us August 17th at our pop-up event at the Union Heights Yacht Club from 6 to 10. And you guys know the deal. Peace, love, 5 stars, nothing less.